going to use this one. It's 8.5 inches. And I looked to see if you could buy it online, but I couldn't find it. I got these at Home Goods, and I only bought 2 of them because I bought them for my chef demos. So, they had a whole bunch of them at Home Goods, but Home Goods is a place where if you buy something, you could never be sure if it's going to be back again. It may be there the next time you go, it may not be there. So you never know. But it was there that day and I got it. Okay. So what are we going to put in our Tex Mex bowl or our burrito bowl or whatever we want to call it? So let's start by putting some lettuce in it. And I know, like, if you go to Chipotle, they give you the option of putting greens or lettuce in there. So we'll go ahead and do that just because we have a certain amount of greens we should be eating every day. And, we've got to get those greens in, but we don't have to eat gigantic volumes of greens. Like you see sometimes people I'm just going to chop it up a little bit with my knife. I see sometimes the people that are the high volume eaters, and they're holding up these gigantic plates of food, bigger than their head. And they're so gigantic, the plates of food, that it's more food than a lot of people like to eat. So don't feel like you have to eat huge volumes of food. You can if you need to, if you want to, especially things that are low calorie density like salad greens. You could eat an unlimited amount of those. But, for some of us, it's not that appetizing to eat gigantic amounts of greens because our appetite may not be that big. We don't really want to be volume eaters. We want to eat just like a serving. Like this is like a cup, a little bit more than a cup of greens. And for me, that's enough. That's all I want to eat. And then I have my cabbage and carrot blend. This is in my daily salad thing that I always do about, simple daily salad essential salads where, we have salad ingredients always available. Okay, I'm only seeing one person watching, so I don't know what's going on. Usually there's a few people on by now. We'll see. And then I have cucumber. I'll put a little cucumber on here. And I'm only going to put like a couple of pieces because I don't want this to be overpowered with cucumber. That's really not the flavor profile that I'm going for in this, but I'll put a little cucumber on there and a little bit of red onion because I like red onion. My dish also has some cooked onions, so I don't want to get carried away with the red onions. So I'll just put, it's equivalent of about a generous tablespoon. So there I've got my fresh vegetables on one side, and then I'm going to construct the bowl with some other things. And we will put some other fresh vegetables on later, but so this to me is the fresh salad side, which I like. That's why I like the big bowl because I can have both. And then I have some brown rice. And I eat grains. The portion size I eat of grains is about a half a cup portion 3 times a day. So I'm going to put looks like to me about half a cup in here. And the reason I know with some of the plant-based people, they kind of tell you, well, eat unlimited amounts of grains and potatoes and things like that. And I know people that do that and that works fine for them. But I also know people that, like me, that get carried away if you eat too many grains, too much rice, too many potatoes, too much bread. It makes it impossible to maintain your weight or lose weight. So I always, for myself, I say just go by Dr. Greger's recommended amount of grains is a half a cup a serving. Okay, now I'm going to put in the refried beans. A normal serving is probably a little bit more than half a cup because, this might be more than one serving of beans today. So there's my beans and my rice. So if you think about a Chipotle bowl, you can put greens in it. They ask you about rice and they'll put in, as much rice as you want. I guess they'll just keep scooping the rice in until you tell them to stop. I've seen that. It's way more rice than I want to eat. But, I put a smaller amount, but then you get to choose other things to put on top of your rice, like they have vegetables. And my vegetables are, we can call them fajita vegetables. They're grilled on the grill. You can see they have some little grill marks. But I marinate them in a special marinade of vegetable broth, a little bit of tahini, garlic, soy sauce, and the recipe is in one of my, um, classes called plant-based grilling, and I'm taking these red bell peppers and I'm slicing them up a little bit because they're just a little too chunky. I'm gonna set them over here next to the rice. Can't really see that, can you? And then I've got a couple of pieces of zucchini. I'm gonna cut those into smaller pieces, and I'll put those right next to the rice, kinda on the rice, because I have nowhere else to put them. And then I'm gonna move this over here where you could see it better. I have some onions. So I have some grilled onions, and again, they're kind of too large. You wanna have bite-sized things in here. You don't wanna have gigantic chunks because if you wanna mix it all together, which some people do, then that's what you do. And then I have the onions kind of in the center. And last but not least, I have jalapeno peppers. And these are grilled. There's nothing on them, they're just on the grill, and they kinda shrink down. These are halves, they're big jalapeno peppers. What I noticed about them last night was they were really spicy. Like, these are hot ones, these are not the mild ones. You never know with jalapeno peppers if you're gonna get a super spicy one or if you're gonna get a mild one, but this one was, believe me, it was pretty spicy, so I'll be a little judicious in how much of that I put on. So now I have the rice, the refried beans, all the grilled vegetables, bell peppers, zucchini, onions. I have my fresh salad ingredients on the side with a little red onion and a little bit of carrots and cucumbers, just enough to give it some interest. Use paper towel. And then another thing I have, and I have this left from last night, we had pico de gallo with our fajita dinner, our veggie fajita dinner. So I have some of that left, and I'm going to spoon a little bit of that on my plate because, that goes really well. And I think that's an offering you can get. Like if you went to Chipotle, they do have some pico de gallo and things like that. And pico de gallo is nothing more than um, chopped up tomatoes, onions, lime juice, jalapeno pepper, and cilantro. And that is pico de gallo. And it's real easy to make, but it doesn't last very long. So if you're going to make it, understand that if you don't eat it by tomorrow, it's not going to taste very good. So it's something that you make and eat right away. Oh, and I forgot my corn. I have this corn. I didn't find a spot for it. So this is where my bowls that I thought was so perfect size looks like it's a little bit on the small side. So we'll just shove this stuff over and sneak some corn in on the side. And we don't have to use all of it. At Chipotle, they have corn salsa, which is good. Nothing wrong with that, but it's different. Okay, and then last but not least, not last, I still have cilantro. I've got some cilantro. I have an avocado. And I don't know about you, but one of the things I like to put on a bowl like this is guacamole. But guacamole is a lot more trouble to make than slicing an avocado. So we're just going to slice our avocado and put a few avocado slices on our bowl because we don't really need to make this into guacamole. We could if we wanted to. And the best way to make guacamole is just to take some avocado and mash it up and add some lime juice and some fresh garlic to it. And there you have guacamole. You can add cilantro, jalapeno peppers. You could add whatever you like to it, but the most basic guacamole is just mashed up avocado with a little bit of lime juice, salt, garlic, fresh garlic or garlic powder. And you can add cilantro, jalapenos, chopped up tomatoes. You can add all kinds of stuff to it if you really wanted to. Whoops. My avocados kind of fell on their side. Okay, we'll put one more in here. Okay, so now we have the beautiful avocados. And then I have cilantro. Now, I know some of you are cilantro haters, and you would never put cilantro on anything. That's fine, but I like it. and I'm gonna just sprinkle a little bit on it just for the freshness and brightness of it. I think it's good on this kinda dish. I'll just put a little bit on top, not too much. And then, one thing that we can do is I know you can also get salad dressing if you have the greens part, and this is my typical lemon tahini dressing, and I know that it costs at, Chipotle, they also have a lemon tahini dressing, and it's good. It doesn't have oil in it, so you can get that. And if we wanted to add some hot sauce, this is just a, you know, local hot sauce that's good. It's not sriracha, but it has a good flavor, good, like a Mexican hot sauce flavor. I don't think you can get it online. It's just a local restaurant makes it, but it's good. And you can find similar products anywhere. So that completes our Southwest bowl, our Tex Mex bowl, whatever you want to call it, our copycat Chipotle bowl. And then all we have left to do is to take a bite. And I don't understand why there's nobody watching this but one person, which I never heard from. So who knows? I'll just take a little bite. Now, to really get the sense of this whole thing, it would be great to kind of start mixing it up a little bit. And then you can get a bite with all the vegetables and all the sauces and everything. But I can already tell you it's going to be good because last night I had all this food. And what was great about it is I made this whole fajita dinner. I made like a Mexican rice, refried beans, all the grilled vegetables. I had fresh salad vegetables. I had cilantro, homemade guacamole. I got tortillas from a local gourmet grocery store that makes their own. Oh, there were 18 of us watching you. Okay. All right. Are you still on there? I don't, usually it tells me at the top how many people are watching, but all I see is one, which is weird. Are you still watching? If so, write a comment because I'm not seeing anybody's comment. So it's kind of strange. Okay. Um, anyway, I had yes, we're all here. Oh, it's so strange. Thanks for letting me know because all I'm seeing is one little number. Can you guys write a message? Because none of the messages are popping up either. It's weird. Oh, it won't allow to comment. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, I'm glad you're on here. So then I got the tortillas from that gourmet grocery store. So I had a whole setup out here. I had corn and flour tortillas. I had all my vegetables. Okay, we're messaging you. Nothing's showing up. It's okay. You can keep messaging me this way because I can see them. If you're messaging me on YouTube or Facebook, I can see your messages. So that's fine. Message me that way. I'm just glad the video is working. But I had, my whole platter of fajita vegetables. I had the refried beans, the rice. I had everything. And we also had tortilla chips. We had salsa. And my daughter brought all kinds of different salsas with her. So she had a whole array of things that I don't usually eat. She brought queso and black bean salsa and all these different salsas she bought at the grocery store. And, the rest of my family, they like that stuff. So they can have whatever they want. But I had my homemade guacamole and good salsa and the pico de gallo. So I was fine, the pico de gallo that looks like this. So I was perfectly fine to have the things that I had. And I didn't need what they had. Now, I will admit to you that they are not plant-based. So their idea of a fajita dinner is to grill some chicken on the grill. So that's fine. They can do that. I can't force them to eat beans and rice and nothing else. And so they're grilling their chicken fajitas. But really, the whole display of food was pretty much everything but that was all my food. So I was perfectly happy. I could make myself a large plate of food like this. Basically, it had all this food in it. It was very, very good. And I actually taught a class. The class was called Plant-Based Grilling, and it was a couple of years ago. And that's where I got my recipe. I have all my classes, and I collected them all in binders, and they're online. I have them in my computer, but I can find them in my binder here. And plant-based grilling had carrot dogs, slaw, summer beans, lime rice, grilled fajita vegetables, grilled tofu, guacamole, pico de gallo, corn on the cob, and fruit cobbler with vanilla ice cream. So if some of you who follow me have taken a bunch of my classes, which I find out that a lot of people have taken my classes, and they forget, they think, well, maybe I took that class, but it was a couple of years ago, so they don't know. But if you did, you probably got an email that has, oops, I just put some salsa on my forehead. That was funny. So you may have that class. If not, I thought maybe I would post a link to that class. It's I think it's probably a $20 class, but it comes with a 2.5-hour video and a detailed recipe packet. But my favorite thing in this recipe packet, besides, I like everything in it or I wouldn't have made it. But I go back to that grilled vegetable fajita recipe all the time because it makes the best marinade. When you're putting when you're putting meat, when you're putting vegetables on the grill, if you don't have something that they're marinated in, they will just turn into dry nothings and they'll burn up and they won't be appetizing at all. But if you got them marinating in, a good flavored vegetable broth that has, onion flavor, garlic flavor, a little bit of soy sauce or whatever, and the vegetables will soak up those flavors and then you'll have some really good vegetables. So can I ask one of you who's able to comment or message me on another platform, how is the sound today? Because I have a new microphone and I was just checking to see if you could tell a difference. I'm hoping that it sounds better. So let me know in one of your comments. I think, I could, there's scroll up at the top from the other platforms that you're watching on. Substack, not seeing anything other than one person's watching. The sound is very good. Great. I have a totally new kind of microphone, and I was hoping that it would make a difference, and it sounds like it is. It's a very high-tech microphone. So I've had so much trouble with microphones not working right. And, I pay a lot of money for them, and it looks like they're working, but then the sound does not come out very well. Okay, so the bowl today was the Tex Mex bowl. And this is a way to use things that you have around, like beans. Instead of eating a bowl of beans all the time, turn your beans into refried beans. And I will do that video again. It disappeared. I did it before and it disappeared. But the recipe for the refried beans is still here on Substack. Just do a search for recipes and you'll find it. But you can turn your beans into refried beans or you can braise them. And braised beans are nothing more than put your beans in a skillet, add some onions and peppers and garlic, and add some vegetable broth. And they get real kind of soupy and moist, and they just have a better texture than reheated leftover beans. And then the idea of doing bowls, I've been seeing a lot of promotions on social media lately about, I lost 40 pounds eating these 5 bowls, and then I read their thing and they ate a chicken bowl, a salmon bowl, whatever, it's all meat-based. And I thought, well, I make bowls all the time. The last thing I did here Saturday was a crunchy, spicy ginger tofu bowl. Remember that? And it had, my sesame ginger tofu, all these vegetables and, rice and whatever. It was really good. And then today, my idea was to make a kind of a copycat Chipotle bowl or Tex Mex bowl because I had all the ingredients left from yesterday. And I started thinking, there are probably 5 bowls that I could make with you guys to give you a start on 5 easy bowls that you could make every day of the week. And so I started writing things down, thinking, okay, what bowls could we make from things that I already make? Well, I started out with the Tex Mex bowl. And then, another one was like a Thai peanut bowl, which I make, Thai flavored things all the time. This one could have noodles in it and a peanut butter dressing. Lentil sweet potato lentil bowl with mashed potatoes. I've made things like that before, but the idea of to simplify it in your mind that, oh, I'm just going to make a quick bowl. I'm going to use some lentils and I'm going to throw some sweet potatoes in the oven. And then I'm going to just throw them in a bowl with a little bit of steamed zucchini. Something really simple so that you can start mastering things that you can make over and over without having to think about them. Because, I'm a chef, so I can make things really fast. I don't have to think too hard about it. But I have some friends and clients who've told me that their mind is blank. They cannot just look at things in their pantry and their refrigerator and say, oh, I'm going to pull together a Mediterranean farro bowl with chickpeas, cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, cannellini beans, and whatever. To them, that would be like, I would never think of that. So I have the idea for about 5 different bowls, roasted vegetable and hummus bowl. There's just so many ideas. And I thought I would feature these bowls and just share them with you. So be looking for that. Although my next video, I'm not going to do a bowl because I had another idea in mind for something I had when I was in Las Vegas. Not this time, but last time in August at a sushi restaurant. But it was a cabbage salad with garbanzo beans. It sounds kind of weird, but it was the best thing we ate there, but even better than the sushi. So I want to make that for you first. But I have about 10 bowl ideas, and I would like to be able to say, eat these bowls and, lose your weight and do whatever. And I think you could, because think about it. If you ate a bowl like this twice a day, and it's not gigantic, it's a relatively normal sized bowl, along with your breakfast, you probably would lose weight because there's, the caloric density of this is not that much. It's the beans and rice and some vegetables, basically. And then my breakfast is a smoothie and half a cup of oats and berries. So, that's my breakfast. This is lunch and dinner. Today, this is both lunch and dinner because I had a kind of a late breakfast. So these are the kind of simple things you can make every day. When you come home and you're tired, you can use canned beans, and the canned beans will improve if you refry them. If you put them in a skillet and add some liquid and seasonings and refry them, meaning refried beans just means you're adding liquid and you're mashing them up. And I put mine in the blender, like 3/4 of them in the blender, but you can also just take a potato masher and mash them up. Or braised beans, which is nothing more than some onions and garlic and vegetable broth and your beans and make them into a soupier version of beans so that they just taste better. They're more appetizing that way. So, you could make a bowl with any kind of beans, any kind of grain, any kind of quickly steamed vegetables. If you like to use your microwave, great. If not, I have a stovetop steamer that makes steamed carrots or zucchini in 5 minutes. So it's real easy to use. I use it all the time. So you can make a bowl with very fresh vegetables and always throw in a handful of greens. So then you get in your green requirement, which is part of the daily dozen. Get in all your cruciferous vegetable requirement with the cabbage and the salad part. And so basically I've gotten all my daily dozen requirements or suggestions in this one bowl. And I could eat another bowl similar to it for lunch or for dinner if I wanted to. But today I'm not going to, and I'll probably have fruit for dessert. So that's the way I lost all my weight and have kept most of it off it'll be 6 years in May. So, in every other case where I tried to lose weight, I never kept it off. Within a couple of months after going off the diet, I would be right back up to my starting weight plus more. So even though I've put on a few pounds, it hasn't been anywhere close to where I started, nowhere close. So I'm confident that I'll get those few pounds off, and I'm working on it. But you have to have some things in your repertoire that you can make easily, and this is one of those things. So I'm going to sign off. It's been about 30 minutes. I don't want to keep these too long. And I don't know why I couldn't see your comments today, but I'm glad you contacted me through other means because then I could see those. So I will be back on Wednesday. Not sure what time, but Wednesday I'll be doing a video on this cabbage and garbanzo bean salad from Daikon Sushi in Las Vegas. And it really was the best thing I tasted there. And a lot of people with me agreed. We couldn't figure out how to make it, but I wrote down everything that was in it. And then I started trying to figure out how I could make it healthier because their version had like fried wontons on it. But I have another idea. So we'll be good. Okay. Christy says, thanks for the class. You're welcome. And I hope everybody enjoys making some kind of Southwest bowl like this. It's so colorful, delicious. And I will see you back here on Wednesday. Bye-bye, everybody.